Confessions, written by St. Augustine, offers a profound exploration into the inner life of a man who struggled with sin and conflicting beliefs before ultimately embracing faith. In his writing, Augustine meticulously recounts the sins he committed throughout his life, starting from infancy and continuing into adulthood. Reflecting on his transgressions, he delves deep into ongoing battles against temptation, weaving in rich theological ideas that provide a greater understanding of the Christian faith. Now, what I will say is his work has been incredibly valuable to me in gaining a better understanding of the Sacrament of Reconciliation. St. Augustine's writings have also played a significant role in my own return to the Catholic Church and participating in the Sacrament of Reconciliation for the first time in 30 years. While there were many factors influencing my journey back, the profound depth with which Augustine conveys the essence of the Christian faith stands out as a key one. One particularly impactful passage from the book sheds light on the nature of confession and sin. To quote from the book, "Your punishments are for the sins which men commit against themselves, because although they sin against you, they do wrong to their own souls. They corrupt and pervert their own nature, which you made, and for which you shaped the rules, either by making wrong use of the things which you allow, or becoming inflamed with passion to make unnatural use of the things you do not allow." St. Augustine further explains, "So it is by the path of meekness and devotion that we must return to you. You rid us of our evil habits and forgive our sins when we confess to you." His words highlight a crucial aspect of confession, and that is, we aren't hiding ourselves from God as he sees everything, but rather, we are hiding God from ourselves through denial. Here Augustine introduces a major theological theme. Evil should be understood as the deprivation of the good that originates from God the Creator. To sin is to willingly turn away from God, thereby tarnishing one's own soul. Now, before converting to Catholicism, Augustine followed Manichaeism, a Gnostic belief system rooted in dualism. In simple terms, it posited that evil has its own independent substance, creating two opposing entities: good, which is associated with the spirit, and evil, tied to the physical body. The goal here was to free the spirit from the corrupting influence of the material world. Augustine later rejected this, arguing there is no distinct entity called evil. Instead, God is the ultimate source of all good in creation. One can either participate in that goodness or separate from it. Evil in this sense is merely the absence of good. He builds on this with logical points. If an evil entity could harm God, it would mean God is fallible, which is impossible. Since all substances come from God and are inherently good, evil can't be a substance in itself. That would absurdly imply evil is good. Rather, evil arises from a perversity of will that is twisted away from God. Augustine also explores themes that would later resonate in C.S. Lewis's argument from desire, including reflections on consciousness, memory, and the nature of self-identity. We can explore these concepts with our modern understanding, where many propose that the mind is simply the result of neural impulses firing in sync to form thoughts. However, this has to be reconciled with reports of people who have had out-of-body or near-death experiences. These are instances where individuals in states of reduced neurological activity, sometimes even pronounced dead, describe heightened consciousness, vivid memories, and sensations unlike anything in normal life. Just take a moment and consider our perceptions. External senses like sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell all have corresponding sense structures to interpret the world around us. Internally, we have sensations like heat, pain, hunger, and thirst, which signal desires for sustenance to maintain the body. Why then do we also have a longing and crave interaction with the transcendent? Each sense has an organ to perceive its object. So what organ in the mind drives this instinct for spiritual experience? What led Abraham to leave his tent in the pursuit of faith? It suggests we are wired to reach for something divine, perhaps stemming from a desire for continuity. Just as hunger sustains the body, spiritual thirst nourishes and perpetuates the soul. And what about our memories? If they are merely stored neural impulses, how do the accounts of near-death experiences preserve detailed recollections beyond physical limits? This implies memories, and the self, transcend the physical limitations of neurons in the brain, connecting to something greater, something more unified. Thus, the underlying desire links to a yearning for the self's continuation beyond death as part of a larger eternal reality. Confessions, written over 1600 years ago, feels like a breath of fresh air in our modern secular society, which often pushes aside reconciliation in the defense of sin. St. Augustine beautifully describes the restlessness of creation as weighted stones seeking their place in flux, and fire burning upward toward the heavens, and objects remaining unsettled until they reach their intended state. When we pursue God, we are like that fire ascending, and those of goodwill find their true home in the heavens. As he famously puts it, our hearts are restless until they rest in you.